Hello, everybody. My name is Jenny. I'm originally from Dublin and I recently relocated to Melbourne, Australia. So it is currently 8 p.m. for me
Love
here.
that.
And
Awesome.
so I left Ireland back in September with my partner and we traveled through Asia for over 5 months before finally coming to Melbourne. And yeah, it was just taking that career break and moving to a new country, uprooting your life that made me kind of think about what I want to do next. And that's how I kind of ended up here with Neve. Yeah.
I love that. And what was the reason, I guess, for you guys like quitting your full-time careers in Dublin and deciding like to take that kind of gap? Because I feel like it's always a lot of people want to do it, but a lot of people like don't ever get
Mhm.
around to actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly it. I think myself and my partner, we'd actually talked about doing it back in 2019 and we were like, right, 2020 is going to be our
Yeah.
year. Obviously the world had different
For sure.
plans, different plans exactly.
Yeah.
And my life kind of, I'll be very transparent. My life was amazing back in Ireland. I had my own furniture business. So it was
Oh,
a furniture and decor rental business for the events industry. So I was running that with my business partner. And then I also had a career in events, which was going really well. But someone just asked me, do you want to, would my partner basically asked me, he's like, would you move to Melbourne? And it was a gut reaction that I was like, yes, I need to do this because I don't want to look back in a year, 5 years time and live with regret.
yeah.
And I think once you get an idea about something, you're like, God, that would be, I want to explore that. I want to do that. I think the
Yeah, of
regret
course.
is bigger, yeah, than, the challenge of actually doing it. So that's why. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. And then I know that when you got in touch with me, you were kind of thinking about your options, what to do when you got to Melbourne, if you would like get a job, if you start your own business. What made you actually decide that you want to start your own business? I know you had a previous business, so did that have something to do with, I guess,
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and I think I think that's what makes me a little bit different to a lot of the girls who do your academy Neve because they have maybe no previous business experience.
Yeah,
And I was coming at it, yeah, I was coming at it from a place of right. I know about registering a business
yeah,
name on the CRO.
yeah.
I know about setting up a business bank account, and I was going back and forth with like, do I need a business mentor? Do I need to invest in this?
Sure.
And it was I was going back and forth with you as we know. And ultimately, it was my gut feeling being like, hang on a second, Neve has the steps in place. She has the experience. She has the knowledge. This is a whole new industry that I'm going into. I've never worked in the online realm. I'm also going to be going to a completely new country. And I
Yeah,
was like, also something that I learned from running a business last time was you need to ask for help and you need to delegate and you need to invest from the get-go because you need to get those foundations in place. So that's why I think it was in Thailand I was talking to you and then I hit the
yeah.
ground running with you in Bali. Bali was when I joined. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I love that. And obviously, like, you know, you've taken it very seriously. Like for anyone watching, like Jenny has been all guns blazing from day one. So, you know, you work with us for 12 weeks. You're smashing it now, but you did put everything into it and you were doing this full time from the get-go. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was. Yeah, I decided I'm quite an all or
Yeah.
nothing person, Neve.
Fair.
So I was like, "Girl, I'm going for it."
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it was all plain sailing at all. I was just willing to give it 100%. And I suppose I chose a time in my life where I was starting off fresh in a new
Yeah.
country, so I kind of had that extra motivation to be like, "Okay, right, completely new
Yeah.
chapter. Let's open the book. Let's go."
Yeah.
Mm.
I love that. And I guess on that note, what were some of the harder parts of starting the business, doing something that was different? Because I know you had business experience, but it's in the online world, the way you line clients is obviously different. Yeah, what were some of the more challenging parts of getting started?
Yeah. I said, well, full transfer. If hadn't have had you, I actually don't think I'd be sitting here right now. Like I can honestly say, having the support that you provided, the steps, it was like the blueprint of like once you do this, then the next step is this, and it just made it so not easy, but it was the
Doable.
guiding hand that I
Yeah.
needed. It was doable,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think there was still struggles in terms of imposter syndrome, I think, as a woman, especially. Like, and Neve, you're incredible, but you're not there 24/7 with
For
me
sure.
holding my hand
Yeah.
physically. And I think you just have to push yourself through it and you just have to give yourself grace. And I think I still do it. There's some weeks where I make a mistake and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like beating myself up. Then I'm like, no, Jenny, start afresh.
Yeah. It happens.
Go again. Exactly, yeah. And yeah, so doing it, yeah, you have to basically give yourself grace. It's not going to be plain sailing, and you've got
Yeah.
to roll with the punches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely like a journey. It's not linear. There's lots of good days, bad days, lots of ups and downs. But I
yeah,
think it's like once you're willing to push past those, that's where like, you can see create like an incredible business. And that's obviously what you've done like within a very short space of time. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of clients you're working with, even just like the industries, and just a little bit about like I know you're working on some like exciting things that are from my knowledge is kind of relevant to your past experience. So tell me a little bit about the people you're working with or the business models they have.
yes, yeah. So I haven't completely rewritten the slate at all. Sorry, my background is in events. So my first client here in Melbourne, she has her own wedding and events company.
Love,
And ideal. And also I'm her first ever kind of employee. So I'm her right hand woman.
love that.
So we were brought together through a mutual friend. So my friend's fiance met her at a TikTok party in Sydney and told her about me, and that's how we came together. So we'll also just on that point tell everybody that you're starting a business because you don't know who's going to come your way. So she's in the wedding and events sector. I have another client who I started with this week, and they do social media and marketing for the events and wedding industry here in Melbourne.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's definitely taking the kind of social side. My other client is taking kind of business support strategy side. And then I also have a client in the UK, and that's obviously fully remote, but she has an agency and I do all of their creative and marketing strategy and creation. So all of that for all of her clients. And actually, Neve, as I'm talking to you today, I'm having a discovery call with someone on Friday, but they're in the IT sector and I don't have a clue. So I'm like, okay, this is the first client who's completely outside my comfort zone. I was like, IT, what does that even mean? I was like, it's like me going to work with a doctor. I don't have a clue, but I'm like, let's go for it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, the skills you have, the stuff you're doing could be very transferable to that industry, but I love that. That's very interesting, the kind of 3 clients that you have ended up with so far and the opportunities that that's brought. So it's a really good lesson there for everyone to share it with your personal network and share it with your connections, because I know that you did that from day one on your personal Instagram page. You were sharing it. You were sharing the kind of like BTS of like building a business. And I love that because people get drawn in by that story and everyone loves a good story. So I think that's a really good lesson for anyone that's watching who's in the early days is if you can to share your personal network, especially if you worked with people and you have a lot of connections, past coworkers, past acquaintances from like your working life, and which you obviously did. And that led you opportunities. And then did you meet one of your clients? Was it at a networking event? The other one?
Yes, and I remember I think I was coming to the end of my time in the VA Academy, and you were like, come on, you've been in Melbourne for a few months, go out, it can be a coffee morning, it can be anything. And suddenly I found myself at a coffee morning with all of these other women in the industry, and that was 3 weeks ago, and I met my client there, and I started working with her on Monday. So yeah, just sign up to, and also it's just getting out and meeting people, getting inspired, learning what other people are doing. It also kind of, I feel like when you're working in the online world, it can sometimes feel a bit isolating, and you're always comparing yourself and you think, oh, everyone else has got to figure it out. But when you go to in-person meetings or in-person networking, you suddenly realize, oh, we're all in it together. Like we all have the same struggles. We're all figuring it out. So yeah, that was one of the best kind of pushes that you gave for me, was like, go, get out the door, meet people, network in person, your business cards. I remember Neve kept saying, get business cards printed and leave them at your coffee shop. And suddenly I was like, can I leave them on bus stops? And I was like, oh no, my number's on there. I can't do that. That's dangerous. But so in-person networking, ideal.
Okay. I love that. And I think it just goes to show that there are opportunities in all different places once you put yourself in a room, a virtual room or an in-person room with the right kind of people. And I think you can't beat that like in-person connection. Like you either have to go hell for leather on like online networking or in person. And I think that's a really good like not a lesson, but like a realization that when you meet people in person, they're a lot more transparent, I think, about like the ups and the downs and the struggles, because it's just you're having a real conversation with someone. It's not just the highlights. It's like they're just seeing their normal people behind the business. So it can be like quicker to build a connection and a relationship with people. So also encouraging you guys to print those business cards, go to like coffee mornings, there's like business meetups, there's walks, there's official networking events. If you're in Ireland, a lot of the Leo local enterprise boards run them. There's also like a big network Ireland, I think, that every single county have their own events that you can join. A lot of my students have landed clients from those. So no matter where you are, there is networking events just to get involved in. So that is very, very cool. And obviously your skills that you had from your past career have really, really come into play, and you've like almost created a business around the skills you already had.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's like, be clever about what you know, and be clever about the skills that you have. There's like, I had event management skills. I had kind of business management skills in terms of back end systems. Yeah, Google Sheets. I adore an Excel sheet. Even though I'm creative, I'm like, give me a new formula. Oh, it's amazing. So use those to build your business, but then on the side and through the VA Academy that Neve has, she has so many trainings on just a wealth of other services that you can offer clients. And one that I really wanted to hone in on was content creation and strategy. So I'm very transparent with my clients that I'm like, look, these are the experience. This is the experience that I have. This is where I excel because I've got 10 years of experience that I can bring to it. But I'm also creative and I'm bringing content strategy and I'm learning as I go. So yeah, I think just being transparent on what you can do and where you're willing to learn and where you're willing to grow. And I think a lot of my two clients have said, yeah, like we can see you don't have a huge portfolio of content creation, but you're motivated and you're driven and you're creative. And I'm like, yeah, I'll show up and do it. So, but yeah, sorry, I digress.
No. I love that, because it just goes to show that just because you don't have the experience with something, and if it's a skill that you've just learned and you're loving, you can offer it. You don't need to be like the best in the business. You just need to, like you said, have that drive. And that's something that I love to see. I think like most people that like start working with me are like, don't have any experience with social media, it's not really my thing. And then I see like, 12 weeks later, whatever, a couple of months down the line, they're like doing social media management for like multiple businesses. And there are people who are like, don't know about social media. I'm like, just you wait. I think just using your own, and you were very like on it from day one as well, with like putting yourself out there, like pushing yourself with social media, putting the time into craft, like posts that showcase your past experience, bringing in your design skills, like pulling out that creativity that you have. So it meant that your page was a good portfolio of what you were capable of, even if you didn't have like 10 years experience in content creation, social media kind of creation. So I think that's a good lesson as well for anyone listening, that your own page becomes your mini portfolio, and it's like your guinea pig on like where you learn everything.
Absolutely. And I think as well, like obviously care about the aesthetics of your page, care about how it looks. But when it comes to stories, I've actually found the most kind of feedback and interaction, and like I get that from just being completely authentic and vulnerable. Like the post I put up before I went on this, and I was like, I need a nap. Jenny maybe at the start of the BA Academy would have been like, really, I don't know, I can't post this isn't professional enough. But you need to be authentic and you need to show who you are, and that's what people